I don't even think there's a basis for impeachment. I mean, the idea that they're even bringing this up, they didn't even have a hearing in the House. Now they're going to turn around and bring about impeachment, yet they say they're for unity. I mean, they beat him up before he got into office. They're beating him up after he leaves office. I mean, at some point, I mean, give the man a break. I mean, move on. If you truly are about moving on, move on. The idea that they're going to do impeachment, that's not going to bring our country together. That's only dividing our country.
I just can't. How does she do it? Former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, a potential 2024 presidential hopeful, just wants former President Donald Trump to be given a break. Really, Nikki? Joining us now, member of the Judiciary Committee, Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware. Senator Coons, should we give Donald Trump a break? He's been through a lot, says Nikki Haley.
Well, Mika, that's just a remarkable statement by former Governor Haley of South Carolina. The break that I've been looking forward to and that I got was this morning. I woke up, looked at my phone, and there were no 3 a.m. angry tweets. There were no direct threats to our democracy or republic. There was a press conference where people told truths and talked about solving problems. I almost don't know what to do with myself. I now have separate channels on TV for news, comedy, and horror, and I used to get all three of those out of the daily Twitter feed of President Trump.
So, Senator Coons, let's talk about, because I think some people still need to be reminded, there's been this fog of disinformation in the last even 2 weeks about why you believe an impeachment trial is appropriate for this president, what you think he did to lead to this point, and why you think it's important to pursue the conviction of a man who's no longer in office.
Well, there's new evidence coming out every day about the things President Trump did to spread baseless lies that he had won an election that he'd lost, and to try and subvert and undermine the rule of law and the process of our democracy, reporting just in the last few days that at the last minute, a commitment to resign en masse by the whole Department of Justice leadership is the only thing that prevented Trump from firing the acting attorney general and replacing him with a more pliant DOJ leader who would file baseless lawsuits in the Supreme Court. But frankly, the only thing that I need to know is that in the midst of an assault on our Capitol, where thousands of armed and angry rioting supporters of President Trump were beating Capitol police officers, in one case bludgeoning a Capitol police officer to death, and breaking into the Capitol and threatening the Congress and trying to stop the certification of an electoral vote. At that moment, President Trump was gleeful and declined requests to dispatch the National Guard and took no action to restrain his supporters, and made no effort to check on the safety of his own vice president or the leaders of Congress. That alone, to me, is evidence enough to convict on the charge that was presented to the Senate yesterday. I look forward to hearing more evidence, but bluntly, I don't think this is a hard case to make. That moment, which I can't believe any of my colleagues have forgotten, just a few weeks ago, struck me as overwhelming suggestion and evidence that we had a president not committed to the safety and security of Congress, the Capitol Police, and the democratic process.
Is it important to you, Senator Coons, beyond a conviction for impeachment, as you just said, you believe is warranted, to prevent Donald Trump from holding federal office again? That's one of the concerns from a lot of people, as you know, inside that body, that he will come back, that he will run again in 2024. Do you think, based on what he did around the attack on the Capitol, around all these lies he told about what happened in the election, that he should not serve again?
That's certainly my view. To me, there has to be accountability, and that's the accountability tool the Constitution gives us.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.